you check the children. Your little man sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Rob the Wolfman.
And Jaime Fuego here.
And we are here to do a review of a fresh horror movie that everyone with a subscription to Hulu has access to currently. That is 2022's Prey, which, if you didn't know, is a Predator movie. It's the first time they haven't really indicated such in the title.
Yeah, aside from the font, I mean, that's about the only indication for a lot of
I
people.
swear, all the way up until its release, I keep confusing this movie because of its title and the, what is it, a Beast movie that's coming out with the former gunslinger.
Right.
So I was like, that should be called Prey. This should be called Predator Beast. Like, literally. But nonetheless, we are here to talk about this release. It is available on Hulu upon release. It is also in the theaters, right, Fuego, or no? Not at all.
No.
Oh,
No,
wow.
exclusively on Hulu. Although there were some screenings that were done in theaters for like critics and stuff, which bums me out, man, because I really wish I could have seen this on the biggest screen.
I agree. And I'm going to lead off our overall thoughts by saying I loved it. I adored the hell out of this movie. I thought it was great. It was much more return to the roots of the franchise rather than trying to go crazy. They found a way to return to the roots in a way that on the surface level doesn't make sense when you like think about it on paper, but in action it actually worked out very well. So it was gory, the effects were great, and well, I mean, there was a lot of CG augmentation going on, but the Predator himself, I thought it was the coolest design we've gotten in a long time for it. So I loved it. Robert?
Agreed. No, I had a hell of a time with this movie, and I've been jonesing for this movie since it was first talked about. This was definitely one of my most anticipated for the year. I couldn't have been happier with this. The fact of, again, they're taking stories from the extended universe and now bringing it into live action, which is where this story came from. I loved the character of, what was her name? Naru. Yep, played by Amber Midthunder. She was great. She was very believable as the wanting warrior, basically. With the normal of, she's supposed to be a gatherer and everything. The women of the tribe, they're not supposed to hunt. She's going against it, and she pulls off this action role solid. And it's not one of those things of, it's just her on her own against it, because again, that part of the story would not be believable if it was like her version of Arnold against the Predator, per se. That wouldn't have worked out very well. But the fact of how they wrote it with the various characters working everything together, I couldn't have been happier. And the fact of the new design of the Predator, the new weapons that we have, the new old tech, if you want to call it, I had a blast with this, and I could definitely recommend it.
Yeah, my gripes are very minor little bits of nitpicks, but aside from that, this flick kicked ass, man, and I was so impressed with what Dan Trachtenberg did from a directorial standpoint. Cinematography was beautiful, all of these, gorgeous landscapes and stuff that we get to see. Great performance from Midthunder. I thought some of the males in the film, aside from some characters we get later, were a little lacking at times, especially with some of the dialogue delivery. But aside from that, man, I mean, it was gory, and I mean, Cecil said roots, bloody roots, indeed, man. This kicked ass. I was a big fan.
So getting into the story of it all, it is set in like 1719, right? Yeah, and so very early on, and it is set in Canada area, right? The upper northwest.
Yeah. It was filmed up in Alberta, Canada, around there.
Yeah. So it's the plains up north, and it's about this tribe that just is existing up there. Actually, it just starts off with what they might consider a normal lion attack that the tribe then has to rally together to try and kill the lion before it kills more of them. But when they go to do this, it turns out that there's something even worse than the lion out there preying on the predators of the world. This is the first time supposedly the Predator has visited Earth in this, at least that's what they said in the description of the film. And so it starts off with, he's just trying to find the most formidable hunters, the most formidable enemies that it can take out. And it's really cool to see it sort of work its way up to humans, because it hasn't run across them right yet. So that's the long and short of it. It's this tribe essentially versus the predator, and you know the tribe that in so much as it's the warriors of the tribe that you know happen to run afoul of it, that then have to try and take care of it. But that's you know the basics of it, and I thought the story played out super interestingly.
Well, absolutely, and especially like you were talking to, like he's like when the predator first visits Earth, he's working his way up on different predators and species that he sees that are formidable. He's like between like the rattlesnake.
We don't need to give it all away.
I'm not. But he starts small and everything. Obviously, we've seen like the bear in the trailer, so that's not really a spoiler aspect.
That was a
fucking solid
really
action scene. I liked that. And okay, and again, the whole time, even in the movie, that worry in the back of my head, I'm like, I swear to God, don't you guys do anything to that dog. Don't hurt the dog. And he was a badass. Like that dog, he was a solid point of the story.
Yeah, there's something very similar to a dog as far as species that has a run-in that doesn't really work out so well and really set the stage for just the leveling up, so to speak, that you guys were mentioning. And yeah, I just really loved how, you know, her being a woman and the fact that she was just kind of, you know, shunned from the action, and, you know, she's kind of a healer and whatever at times, but yeah, rising to the occasion and just getting like upping her badassery over the course of the situation getting more and more dire, and also the fact that nobody believed her because she was the one who actually sees the arrival of the ship. And yeah, I mean, once again, we'll get into it in the acting. I felt like the dialogue at times was a little stilted, and also the use of Comanche and English. I want to see this version that they're talking about that is like only them speaking their native language.
I would, except that they just dubbed over the English parts with Comanche.
Yeah,
so if they had reshot it where they actually speak Comanche the whole way, that's the version I would have watched.
Yeah, it's the only thing that threw me off at times, and the English dialogue that they were speaking, I felt was a little stilted. But I mean, once again, just very, very minor nitpicks as far as the storytelling, because yeah, I mean, it was a thrilling narrative in so many ways, and I love the third act where you get not without spoiling it, but there's other characters and people of that era that were in that region doing some trapping and stuff, and I really dug that turn once they got to that. So
yeah, it was, again, the movie never lost my interest. I was all about it from the very start. It doesn't take long to get into everything, and the time it does take is necessary to understand, you know, the dynamics of everything that's going on that's about to get crazy, you know. So,
and especially the brother-sister dynamic, which was pretty compelling.
I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
You know, some people are going to complain that it leans too heavily on how poorly she's kind of treated by certain aspects, you know, certain people in the tribe and stuff. But
that's how the tribes
okay,
were,
well, let me
though.
finish my point. Like, that's what I was going to say. Jesus Christ, guys. Holy shit. I said some people, not me. Fuck. So, yeah, some people are going to say that. Not me, though. Christ. Yeah, no, so I felt that it was very accurate as to the way things would have been. I mean, dudes would have been assholes to a woman trying to step out of her lane. And, you know, some people might think it was heavy-handed. Again, not me. But some people might think so. I feel it was appropriate.
Yeah.
So.
No, we've already heard like some reviews and everything. People are there. They were briefly talking about it and everything. And it's not a far off reach of a story. And again, they've already used this aspect in the extended universe, so it's not like they're just trying to like throw shit into your face. I thought it was very well written.
Yeah, and I'd say that's a good segue into the acting, honestly, because yeah, there are some tense scenes where our character Naru is just being beyond picked on, let's just put it that way, you know, by some of her brother's friends. And there's one scene in particular where she's bound up and, you know, trying to find her means of escape. But I mean, she is the obvious standout from an acting standpoint. I mean, she is, you know, once again, the epitome of badassery. And even like she has a few action sequences that, like, not just Predator action sequences. There's one in particular with the guys that I mentioned that appear in the third act. And she kicks ass in that, man. I mean, it's very well choreographed, and you know, it's a good fight scene that doesn't even involve the Predator. So
yeah, I thought she was incredible. And what I couldn't help thinking a number of times in the movie is that were there to be a live action Alita outside of the girl that actually was mocapped for Alita, she has the eyes that are basically anime size eyes, which are super compelling to watch through the entire thing. Like,
very
yeah,
expressive.
so much so. And which is good because there's not a butt ton of dialogue in this. So expression is what's necessary to get the point across a lot of times in this film, and she really nails it. I never once didn't believe that she was, in the situation and feeling what she was feeling. It was fantastic. Same with her brother. I thought that too. Again, some of the other guys came off a little lame, but it's because they're written to be sort of one-note haters. You know what I mean? So they played that part well enough, and so yeah, the acting all around for me was great.
Well, especially like the dynamic, again, going back to Nara and Tabi, or was her brother's name, I believe, right?
Something like that.
I think it was Tabi, played by Dakota something. But no, I like how they were written, especially too, is because again, he was the head warrior of the Comanche tribe, but yet he believed in her, but yet was still wary and didn't want her to be hurt. It was things like
It was. Yeah, I mean the protective.
Exactly. But even though like she was a hard ass, she could handle her own and whatnot, and even though with people not believing her, with her mother, it was very well portrayed, and I liked her in this action role, and I hope to see her in more action-esque roles like this.
Yeah, because I know she'd done, I think, Legion and like a few smaller things.
She was in Longmire and everything. That's where I recognize her from, is Longmire. So.
Okay. Yeah, but the brother Dakota Beavers was great. He was the other male, like kind of lead that.
Well, even his action scenes, even aside from like some Predator stuff, they were solid action choreographed.
The stuff I wanted to make sure we mention is like Fuego alluded to early on, was the way the film was presented, the cinematography, the direction. I mean, all of it. It was really a gorgeously shot movie, and what I really loved was that they not only basically made what could have easily been comic book panels, but they did things that they didn't really take a lot of time to do in the original Predator, where the shot is a really wide shot, and like one person's up in a tree and another person's down here across the frame, and it just looks gorgeous as they're setting up, what's about to happen, and it's just like, damn, this is really pretty to look at. Like, it's so pleasing to the eye throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, and often I'm not so big on some of the blue color corrections or whatever, but it was there were so many different, diverse, whether it was some of the nighttime scenes or even these like babbling brooks and just the scene we see in the trailer where there's like the running through the grass, and it almost brought me back to that Lost World scene, except it's during the daytime with what happens to a certain character. Like, man, Trachtenberg and his DP just shot this so splendidly, man. It's a beautiful film, which is one of the biggest shames that people are watching it at home as opposed to it getting a proper theatrical release. I'd say.
Yeah,
totally.
This would have been amazing to be able to see on the big screen, and most definitely.
Yeah, shout out to Lindsay. Lindsay got to see it on the big screen. Yeah, he tweeted something about it earlier too.
Son of a bitch. Damn it, Lindsay.
Getting into the effects, I think that it was, obviously there was a lot of CG. The whole bear scene is very CG, and some people are going to let it take them out of the movie, but if in for a penny, in for a pound, like it's you gotta buy into that stuff. And some of it, we've seen better looking CG bears before, but it wasn't so bad that it like pulled me out of the movie. It was still a really great, thrilling scene to watch. And there's a lot of blood in the movie, a lot of blood, and a lot of CG blood augmentation to the practical effects that looked like they were there. So I feel like the effects all around, especially the Predator and its design, not only with the mask but without, I thought it was awesome and bestial, and like just a more primal version of the Predator. It looked just awesome. So yeah, all the effects I was on board for pretty much.
Yeah, so they're naming this Predator the Feral Predator.
Okay.
And again, he's one of the inspirations why they took for like the almost redesigning of it is he's supposed to be from a different hemisphere of the planet. So he's obviously still the Yautja tribe, but he's a different hemisphere, a different breed basically. But one thing I especially like too is the subtle changes. Take with like the dreadlocks. They were a lot thinner than what we would typically get in the other ones. The bone mask that we had was a solid design. It was a nice little mixture of, we had the practical effects, but with the CGI enhancements for the Predator. Obviously, sometimes you can't really get away with that. I'm always a sucker for the practical, so the fact that they were able to keep both of those in and get that nice little mixture. Obviously, with the going back to like the bear scene, like we were talking about, there's only so much you can actually still do practical, which is fine. It didn't take me out of the movie. I was still engaged in the action sequence. It was still a stressful time, but no, I had a lot of fun with this this redesign and everything that they did with the Predator.
That was one of my few gripes. I didn't like the skull mask
really?
look so much. I wasn't into it. Yeah, that was one of the few things that I didn't like that much. You know, once the mask was off, it all looked badass and stuff. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, I don't know. It just I love the classic look so much. The redesign. I just wasn't.
You got to think though. It's older tech than what we've gotten and shit. So things are going to be different.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it is like 200 something.
Yeah,
years
that's why his
before,
weaponry is a lot different than what we've ever seen. So technically, this all.
Oh, I didn't have any gripes about anything.
Yeah.
It was just the mask. It was just the mask that I wasn't as into. You know, everything else from like I didn't mind the CG. I mean, I didn't think the bear looked any worse than the DiCaprio Revenant. You know, and I also appreciated the fact that.
But fair enough.
Did it? Yeah, I mean, hey, my old 1080p TV.
Well,
you know,
in fairness, at least.
A 4K, but
well,
you know.
in fairness, at least with like the Revenant aspect, like you had the gray blues kind of overshadowing the bear. So unlike with this, it was more of a broad daylight shot. So
yeah, I guess I'm more forgiving with a 15-year-old TV.
Yeah,
you know, something as pristine. Yeah, but I was also happy they used a decent amount of actual animals too. You know, between rabbits and the dog, and you know the wolf that we know what happens to, and so yeah, props to that. And I didn't mind even a lot of the Predator CGI stuff. I thought it looked better than the most recent one. I mean, the bar was set so low with the Predator that you know there was only ability to go upward, I would say. But like the scene where he's in camouflage mode and covered in blood, I dug that. I thought it was cool. So, yeah, there's lots to like.
Agreed.
Lots to love.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Is there anything else? Oh, I guess the sound design and the music. I mean, it was all. I don't think there was any theme that was like as identifiable as the main Predator theme from the original film, but I thought it all worked great, and the sound design was awesome.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they didn't reuse like some of the old music and try and tie it back in with this. They made it fresh right from scratch. They did do one little callback on a dialogue that I really liked going back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that, and that was a nice subtle nod. They didn't just fucking ram it down your throat with every other scene. I enjoyed it. It was basically a nice separation from the other movies, but still having a fair enough tie-in. Because even with this, they could have marketed this as just like a story about Comanche warriors, and then you get in to see it, and it's oh shit, it's a Predator movie. So that's really how I don't know. I think it could have gone really either way.
That's how they were able to shoot it in secret, I would imagine, because all the Predator was presumably in post, right? Or at least the
probably,
predominant.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a lot of practical Predator in this.
Yeah, there was just the CGI enhancements.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, just I don't know, just the fact that it was a secret project and they were trying to keep it on the super.
I mean, when they were where they were shooting, I'm sure afforded that option a lot more than shooting in a freaking neighborhood like they had to in the last
being
Predator
up in
movie.
Calgary and everything. Yeah.
So,
which was a solid location to shoot. Like, man, those drone shots in the beginning part were amazing.
Yeah, breathtaking for sure.
So yeah, I think that's gonna do it, you guys. Thumbs up all around for Prey from us.
Hell yeah.
I definitely am gonna be revisiting this down the line. I'll probably revisit it more often than a few of the other installments in the franchise. So I'm definitely glad we got this. It's a bummer that it didn't get a theatrical run for such a good entry, but who knows? Maybe the response will make sure they fix that next time around. Who knows? So thanks very much for watching, you guys. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We greatly appreciate it. If you guys want to become a patron, the link is in the description box. There are, I think, upwards of 150 Patreon exclusive reviews over there. So if you have an interest in a lot of movies that we haven't talked about on the channel yet, chances are it's over there. So thank you guys very much for watching, though. Go see Prey, or turn on Prey. Download Hulu, or get Hulu for a month and watch Prey.
Yeah.
Yeah, until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Robert the Wolfman.
And gracias, Jaime, Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.